Welcome to the Lakeshow podcast presented by Jack in the Box. It's a weekly deep dive into the biggest stories and topics surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers. Allie Clifton, Mike Bresnahan, he's our Laker insider, and the co-host of the Locked on Lakers podcast. It was all about podcasts. He's Andy Kamenetzky.
Podcasts are my life, Allie.
They rock, huh?
They are my life.
They are the best. You get to say however you want, wish, feel, know,
They're the
do,
best.
everything. Yes.
I mean, clearly, I've dedicated my life to podcasts. They are the best.
Yeah, they are.
Who's done more career podcasts between the two of you?
How many do you have?
Now, you do like 7 a week, right?
Allie.
How many episodes do you have?
Locked on Lakers is 5 days a week,
Okay.
sometimes on the weekends, depending on the Lakers' schedule.
Yeah.
And I've been doing Locked on Lakers. I want to say this is my 4th season.
Oh, yeah, you've got me.
Plus all the old incarnations of the ESPN versions and the athletic versions and
Yeah.
Brief Time with Believe, like that network. So, yeah, I got you beat, Allie.
So you're over
Yeah, you do.
1,000.
Oh, yeah.
But Allie, you've been doing road tripping for, is it 10 years yet?
Yeah. No, 7 years.
Okay.
But you
Allie,
still have me beat.
Allie,
Yeah.
this is not really.
And I only went like not whole seasons.
Yeah, this is not meant as like a condescending slam on
No,
you. It's
not
really,
at all.
It's really more about my age and whatever. I was doing podcasting when you were in elementary school. Like, I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
Oh, really?
Or like high school, middle school.
Yeah, what were they called?
Monologues.
Monologues, yes, exactly. But I really feel like I've been doing this since you were still in some form of formal schooling.
Do you know how old I am? I feel like you're really aging yourself and you should not be doing that.
You're young enough, Allie, that I think I'm sadly correct.
That's impressive.
Thank you.
Good for you.
Allie, do you know the story about
Something new every
AK
day.
and me at the Westwood Brewing Company?
No.
Well, AK used to be a bartender there way back when he and I were younger.
The place still existed.
Even when it existed, it was kind of a place to go to as well.
Yeah.
And I had like my 25th birthday there, maybe, and I got a little private room and everything. And AK was our bartender.
Wow.
And look at him now.
Look at him now.
I was
Were
covering
you
high
doing
school
podcasts
sports.
then?
I was not. I don't think the medium existed then.
Oh, okay.
Like a beer
Okay.
podcast.
Could have.
Talk about IPAs and
I could have.
Yeah.
I knew the brew making process well. I'd spent time in the mash tun, helping get those grains down and stuff
course
like
you
that.
did.
The hops down.
yeah.
Who would have guessed?
Who would have?
Now he's a big time podcaster.
You know what's funny? I had to use you and your brother as an example to my parents in the social
what?
social media world.
Oh,
My dad calls me, God love them. My dad calls me the other day and he said, you know, your mom and I are trying to get the same Facebook, but every time I post something, people don't know if it's from me or your mom. I want to be able to differentiate the two. And he said, so how do I get the name to say Bill and Kim Clifton? And I was like, Dad, this is a lot, first of all.
Yeah.
God love you. 2, all you have to do, I go, we have 2 wonderful human beings that are on our shows. They're writers in the LA market. They've got their own podcast. They know what they're doing. They're brothers. And I sent them your profile on Twitter.
AK.
And I said, see how every time, just look at the Twitter, every time they post, they dash AK, dash BK. That's all you need to do. You don't need to even change your name. Even though my dad goes, but it says the Kamenetzky brothers. I'm like, it doesn't mean it needs to say Bill and Kim Clifton. Just sign your name at the end of what you're saying.
yeah.
It was so funny.
Yeah,
And that's what they're doing.
It is.
BC or Casey. It's that easy.
BC or
Yeah, the Twitter feed, the X feed, whatever you want to call it, is the vehicle for our tweets, the overarching vehicle.
Yeah.
And then we sign each one of them individually so you know who is behind it.
Yep.
Exactly.
Makes so much trailblazers over here. Absolutely. Having said that, we're going to dive right into all the conversation from last night because I used one of your tweets.
Oh.
I knew it was you when it came to the postgame show.
Because you signed it. Good
the
job.
tweet
Because I
that
signed it.
the Sixers only averaged the 6th fewest threes taken in a game at 31 attempts. But the story after last night, losing 138-94, the largest loss of LeBron's NBA career. We talked about it on the postgame show, tied for the 5th worst loss point differential-wise in Lakers history.
I love, by the way, that
44-point
Worthy and Ori were immediately checking the list of teams like, wasn't
It
me?
was hilarious.
Wasn't
You
me?
could just see, if you were in here because we were over the graphic at the time, you could just see their wheels spinning. And I'm like, guys, I was thinking, like, you
Leave
gotta
me
talk.
out of this.
And it was hilarious.
Plausible deniability.
Yep.
So before we dive into all of that, here was LeBron after the game. Take a listen.
What needs to change in order for that not to happen again? A lot.
Is there anything in particular?
Not a lot.
not that long ago we were talking in LA, and it was like, we don't know what we have with this team thus far. And from there, you had a nasal fracture for a player, you had a player miss time with a groin injury on top of the injuries already sustained. How does the team keep its focus without letting the drawbacks or the setbacks culminate in stuff like tonight?
Just got to play better.
How should a team react to this kind of game? Do you just totally flush it, disregard it, move on, or do you just let it stew and use it as motivation?
I don't know how a team. I can only speak for myself.
How do you?
I don't like it.
You said to Dan's question, you said a lot needs to change. Is there anything specific you feel like needs to change?
I just said a lot. He said, what in particular? I said a lot.
Having said that,
What
there's
part of a
another.
lot did you not understand?
There was another tweet from you last night after that specific interview where you said this was as mad as I can recall LeBron ever looking after a Laker loss. Lakers are now 1-1 on this road trip after that impressive win, as we discussed, in Cleveland on Saturday. Yes, they're still missing Rui, Cam, Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, which we know what each one of those individuals brings to a ball club. Do you agree that with LeBron that a lot needs to change? Okay, want to go first?
Yeah, I do. I mean, they have not gotten themselves in any trouble during this period where they've been figuring things out. You know, they're currently 10-8. They're 2 games above 500. I'm old enough to remember 2-10 and all the problems that caused. So, you know, they have not put themselves in any type of really deep hole during this period where, you know, they have not been at full strength at any point this season, which is something LeBron has also brought up. But that being said, I think there are things they need to figure out on both sides of the ball schematically. I also think that there's like an edge and an energy missing from this team right now. Mm-hmm. Like you sort of get reminded of it watching Patrick Beverley on the other team. Like Patrick Beverley always brings an edge to him, the way he plays. I've had a lot of whether viewers on the Locked On Lakers YouTube channel comment section or on Twitter at Cam Brothers bringing up how they miss Dennis Schroeder. Like not even just in terms of Schroeder's skill set, and I thought Dennis actually really had a good season last year, but Dennis played with an edge. Like there was always an edge in the way he played. Like for all of the issues that came with Russell Westbrook during his season and a half with the Lakers, Russ had an edge, and that I think could be contagious at times. It feels like this team is often lacking just like an edge and an energy that comes through in a lot of different ways.
I 100% agree with you. And you know someone who is like that of Dennis that could help with this situation? Jared Vanderbilt.
Jared Vanderbilt's absence has really proven his value on this team.
When you talk about players that play with an edge.
They really miss him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these first quarters, I mean, I feel like they're down 12 after every first quarter. And I'm sure the actual difference isn't that far off. And AK, I know you were around when we talked to Kobe every day. And LeBron's postgame interview reminded me of an angry Kobe. Mm-hmm. And anytime you're the reporter and the players' answers are shorter than your questions, then you know you have an irritated player. Mm-hmm. You have an angry player. I'm going to go beyond irritated. And I think LeBron is, he's been in the game long enough to be able to hide most of what he's feeling, but obviously he's not happy with what he sees. Now, we don't know exactly what it is. Is it that they're missing 4 core rotation players who are going to average combined probably 30 points right there between those 4? And good energy from those guys. Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, as you mentioned, come to mind right away. Cam Reddish was playing pretty intense defense.
I think Rui as well, too. And Rui plays with a physicality that I think if nothing else, like an energy, a swag, and that was missing against Philadelphia. I think those 4 guys in particular, they bring energy and physicality that was missing against Philadelphia. But I think you're starting to feel those absences of those particular elements the more time they haven't been available.
Now, here's what I don't know if those guys can help. This whole three-pointer thing.
We're going there next.
Okay, go for it.
I'm just going to give you numbers and then you go.
Go for it.
The 3-point disparity, Philly 22 of 46, That was 48%. That was one shy of tying their franchise record, most threes that the Lakers have given up this season. 7 of 28 on the flip side for the Lakers, 25%. This season, Los Angeles' 9.8 three-pointers made per game is 30th in the NBA. At 34%, 25th in the NBA. To their opponents, 14 threes made per game, which is 26th in the NBA. Go for it.
Yeah. So the big thing we've been talking about is they can't make threes. And that'll change a little bit when those guys come back. But, can they get from 30th up to like 20th or 15th? I don't know. And it's okay if this is happening if you play great defense. Because the Lakers were 22nd in threes, three-point percentage, when they won the championship in 2020. But they had good perimeter defenders. Now, like those numbers you used, Allie, 25th, 26th in three-point defense, basically. So not only are you not making threes, you're not stopping threes from the other team either. That's a double sword right there. I mean, I did the math earlier. Just as soon as tip-off happens, on average, the Lakers are being outscored at the three-point line by about 12.5 points every game. So tip-off, game starts, you're down 12.5-0. That's hard to come out of. That's hard to come back from. Plus, you throw in these slow starts in the first quarter. It's starting. The pattern's starting to emerge of these guys. Not only, I think it's obvious they can't shoot threes right now. But I think it's underreported that they're not playing great perimeter defense either. And that's where they do miss a Vanderbilt and a Gabe Vincent badly.
And the only thing I will say to that in terms of when you look at those guys that are out, Rui obviously can contribute to the three-point shot making. Gabe Vincent has shown that he is capable in doing so. Vando, we haven't seen him, but the shot making was something that he worked on this offseason.
Corner threes.
Time will tell. And we've seen Cam Reddish. But I also think, to your point too, I don't think they've dug themselves too big of a hole either, because let's think about this. When you're healthy, when you're at full strength, this isn't an excuse. They've made it very clear they're not here for moral victories, but at the same time, guys are playing out of position. Guys are playing more minutes than they're accustomed to playing. You get tired legs. This is why the Lakers aren't practicing right now. There's no shoot around. I think in a sense of things too, Cam Reddish is listed as probable tomorrow. If I'm not mistaken, Rui was at a week, right?
Yeah.
From the nasal fracture. So you hope that health on their side is returning sooner rather than later. But I'm not freaking out.
No, I'm not freaking out either.
Not freaking out.
There's nothing that's led me to be totally discouraged about this team, but there is a lot to figure out. It's funny, like the 3-point issues that they have in terms of making them. They also don't take a lot of them. Like, I really started thinking about what LeBron said with a lot needing to be fixed, and just thinking about stuff that we talked about on like tonight, or when we film Access, or Locked On Lakers, all that stuff.
One of your 35 podcasts this week.
Yeah, just one of the billion pods I do, moonlighting, whatever. And I was looking at some of their numbers. It's not even that they don't take a lot of threes. They don't take enough shots. They're 30th in the league as of this recording in field goal attempts.
So that's interesting.
Like, they don't, and some of it is they turn the ball over too much. But some of it is I feel like they don't put enough up. Like, for all the issues with the three-point shooting, their overall field goal percentage is actually one of the best in the league. They have one of the best two-point percentages in the league, but they are, as of this recording, 10th in the league in two-point shot attempts. Like, if you're going to be a team that doesn't take a lot of threes for a variety of different reasons, you have to make the math work in your favor. Like, you have to be number 1 in two-point attempts, like number 4 at the lowest. They don't take enough shots from anywhere on the court.
And we were talking about that last night. For a team that shot right around 50%, 52, 54% for the game, to still lose by that margin?
Yeah. I mean, again, some of it is they turn the ball over too much. But I also wonder, too, like, are they getting the most out of the shot clock? Are they giving themselves just enough opportunities to put up shots? Because if you're not going to be a team that takes a lot of threes in a three-point heavy league, you got to find a way to make the math work in your favor. They're not even doing that well enough.
When we talked about you got it?
Yeah, just real quick. So they got outscored by 45 from three-point range last night. They lost the game by 44. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that simple, but that math is pretty indicative of what's happening.
3 is worth more than 2.
Yeah.
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 And also something that has been an Achilles heel for them, the 15 offensive rebounds against the Sixers to lead to 26 second chance points. That battle on the glass, Los Angeles 30th in the NBA in second chance points allowed at 18 per game.
I might voice of God here, Allie, if you want to bring me in.
Please.
Yeah.
So we record this podcast once a week, and we react to the latest game. And 40-point loss to the Sixers is obviously concerning. What about that win to start the road trip against the Cavs? 70 points in the paint, AD 32, 13, 3 assists, 3 blocks, 2 steals. It's a common theme in the NBA that you're only as good or bad as your last win or loss. I'm just curious what you guys think about the panic versus patience meter, considering, yes, Sixers loss was bad. They're 1-1 on the road trip.
That's why I think, too, we're sitting here saying we're not panicking. But I think when you have these expectations of wanting to be a contender and wanting to be the last team standing, I think that there's still some things that, like, game by game, because, yeah, you say they had 70 points in the paint against Cleveland. They also were plus 20 in the paint last night. They had 58, just below 60, and yet they're still losing by 44. And I think, too, there's a pattern. You know, we talk about it a lot, the slow starts, the inconsistency on the glass. You know, how many times have we heard Darvin say the key to this winning this game is battle on the boards? You got rebounded last night by what, 20?
They have to be one of the worst teams in the league at getting to 50-50 balls.
Yeah.
Like, and that's something that to me has nothing to do with who you're missing, personnel, talent level, or whatever. You know, I was looking at the advanced box scores from Philly versus Lakers. And the Sixers got to almost double the amount of loose balls as the Lakers. And they did that as the team that was winning and as the team at fuller strength and as the team with the better record. Like, again, it gets back to what I was talking about earlier with, like, energy and edge.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that, like, you have to have a mindset of we're not going to allow that to happen because to some degree that is force of will. I mean, maybe it has to do with, like, being 5 out, being so spaced around, like you might not be in the right places for certain rebounds. But, you know, they're not the only team in the league that plays spaced out, and yet they keep getting beat for these balls.
Kind of makes me think, too, as Jordan voice God. You can edit that if you need to.
He's been
Voice
revealed.
of God. Darvin responding to in-game adversity, mentioning last night that he felt the in-game adversity versus Philly affected their competitive spirit. I think right now, too, they're kind of getting in that position of the injury bug. And how are we going to figure this out? How are we going to still manufacture production and wins in the meantime? Because at the end of the day, no one cares.
Yeah.
No one else cares that you guys are injured. No one else cares that your 4 best rotational perimeter defenders are not available to you.
Yeah, and by the way, say Vanderbilt is clear to play next week, and you see the graphic on our if you're watching our broadcast. I mean, Vanderbilt hasn't played in almost 2 months. I mean, if he comes back next week, that will be 2 months practically.
Yeah.
What's he going to look like? What's his win going to be? It's going to be hard to say, okay, right away, you need to get back to 32 minutes a game like you were giving us in the regular season and most of the playoffs until he lost his job.
No, but I bet 15 minutes of Jared Vanderbilt would feel like a serious jolt of energy.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, just seeing it on the injury report that he is available.
Yeah.
That'll be a jolt of energy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
it will. I mean, I think
Gabe Vincent.
Yeah, they have talking again about guys with edge. Like, you know, Vincent, I think, was off to a slow start before he got hurt, but he is somebody that plays with an intensity and an edge and a physicality that has been missing a lot with this team, even when they win.
And he interviews that way too, by the way. Like he's a fun guy. I like talking to him, but when the lights go on and the cameras come out, he's like very serious the way he interviews.
Very to the point. Yeah.
Very to the point. So, Allie, if you have a 3-minute pregame interview with him, you need to come armed with about 13 questions.
Yeah.
Because he's going to blow through them and very quickly, and he's not dismissive at all.
Yeah.
But he's just like, yeah, we can't make threes. You know, we got to get better in that.
You're talking about Gabe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had the one when I wanted to address his shot, just from a standpoint of allowing him to kind of give us that glimpse into what he's going through and what it's like being a part of a new offense and on the ball, off the ball, et cetera. And there was 2 questions, and I had to follow up one more time. And he was like, "Okay, so you're just going to beat around the bush." I said, "No, I'm not going to allow you to beat around the bush." He was great.
Right.
So much fun.
Great guy, but he takes his craft very seriously. No doubt.
I can't wait for them all to be back because they are all guys that we can have in our toolbox to interview before the game as well.
Yep.
Because right now, Austin, Cam,
That's really what
Small
matters
crew.
most. Let's be
The
honest.
pregame
The
interview.
Jackson Hayes, we're coming
we
to you.
need to lengthen that pool a little bit. We need some help.
One final note before we get to a round of bucket or brick. Nothing like a visit to Detroit. They've lost 14 straight. If we want some
They've won 2 games all year.
Okay.
2-15.
The last time they won a game was, I just happened to be looking this up. Your parents maybe saw this, Allie, if they were
probably.
going through my Twitter feed. The last time they won a game, Detroit, was October 28th. To put that in perspective, James Harden was still a Sixer. The
Wow.
last time Detroit won a game.
That's a great stat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Wow.
I was still not sure
That was
what I was going to be for
pre-Halloween.
Halloween
Right.
that time.
People were still figuring out Halloween costumes.
Were you doing a podcast then?
I probably was doing a podcast.
Oh, good stuff. All right. So basically, to answer Voice of God's question, we're not on the panic. We're panic or patient? We're patient.
I mean,
You got to see these 4
Just
key
talking about the
rotation guys
latest.
coming
you
back.
might as well be patient because they can't make a move for a few weeks anyway, even
December
if they
15th.
want to.
Right.
Like they can't do anything right
So
now.
for your own mental health, just relax.
Yeah, what was it,
Exactly.
AK? Like
Aaron Rodgers used to
30%
say.
of the league is tied up until December 15th?
Right. And in the Lakers case, it's like their whole roster. Like they
Yeah.
can't do anything right
if,
now.
if you signed a contract as a free agent this past offseason, the NBA does this to give you time. You know, you can't be dealt on the first day of the season, right, after you relocated. So December 15th, that's when all the guys who signed a contract during the offseason are eligible to be dealt. So it'll be interesting to see what that usually opens the doors a little bit. I think it's a little overreported. Oh my God, December 15th, here it is. It's not like there's a flurry of 9 trades every mid-December. But it's just, it does open up about, I'm going to guess, a third of the league, maybe a little bit less.
And then
to trade
January
possibilities.
15th is another big date. January 15th is another date where other guys become eligible. Like I believe in the Lakers case, that is if they were to look to make some moves, Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves,
There
I
you go.
believe become trade eligible January 15th.
There you go.
Purely hypothetical, but
Yeah.
just
Yeah, and there's also
some
some
dates.
non-guaranteed contracts become guaranteed in the month of
Exactly.
January. There's still a few things, but the bottom line is the trade deadline is still 2.5 months away. I mean, it's a ways to get there. So I was talking to a buddy on the drive up. He's a Bucks fan, and he's like, people are clamoring for trades in Milwaukee. I'm like they're like second in the East.
they just made a massive trade.
Yeah,
They just brought in Damian Lillard.
Yeah, what more do you want?
They want instant oatmeal.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
Everyone does.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've been someone that wanted that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they need to be patient but urgent. That's the way I would put it right now. Like there's an urgency to figure things out, but you don't want to be panicking, especially when you can't do anything with the panic anyway. Like there's nothing to be done right now. So be patient but be urgent.
Let's wait till these 4 guys come back. Seriously.
How about the irony of LeBron playing the most minutes in the NBA, falling on the same night of the worst loss?
I think
Of his
to
career.
LeBron, it felt like all 66,000 of those minutes
Happened that
during
night.
that game.
In Philadelphia.
So true.
Last night.
Well, the post-game interview didn't last 66,000 minutes, which was a darn
66
shame for
seconds.
us in here. Lakeshow fans, remember, you can be a part of this show each week. Feel free to send us your questions and comments. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's Around a Bucket of Brick. Welcome back to the Lakeshow podcast presented by Jack in the Box. If you're enjoying the show, you can check out more original podcasts from our Spectrum News journalists on the Spectrum News app. Just head to the podcast section to listen to the latest episodes. You can download the Spectrum News app on the App Store or Google Play. All right, time for a round of Bucket or Brick presented by Jack in the Box. You know what you're doing, correct, AK?
Yeah, I got
Cool.
a pretty good idea.
Played this?
He's been on a few podcasts
Great.
in his life.
Sometimes Geeter's a weekly on this podcast, and he still doesn't know sometimes. So just got to make sure all of the
You have to
people
go
are
over
on
the
board.
rules a lot.
Just kidding. Shout out to Millie, by the way. Sweet 16, 16th birthday today.
Hey,
Lakers' daughter.
Millie, happy birthday.
Lakers' daughter. Geeter's daughter. All right. Paul Reed said AD is a flopper, but his teammate Joel Embiid leads the league with 11.7 free throw attempts per game. He was 11 of 12 last night, I believe. Bucket or Brick, flopping is still a huge issue in the NBA.
I'm gonna go brick. I don't feel like. Whoa, that was a brick.
That was a good break.
Wow. Wow.
Usually you hit the rim or the backboard.
that was. If I go brick, I go brick,
that
baby.
was amazing.
I don't know. It doesn't feel that prevalent to me the way people used to talk about it a few years ago. Maybe the emphasis that the league is putting on it, that it gets called more, penalized more, has just led to fewer shenanigans.
What is it now? A technical?
Shenanigans.
Technical. I mean, honestly, it felt like a lot of it was just about how much is James Harden getting away with, and Harden's getting away with less these days. So, no, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I'm going to
That's
Yeah,
a
that's
Pretty
a brick.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. This is a brick. I mean, who's talking about flopping? I I don't know anyone except Paul Reed, I guess. That was a big deal a couple years ago, and then the NBA took steps to try to address it, and
I think they have.
I think it's pretty low on my list of concerns. With
flopping's been around forever. Like, Vlade was often credited with having invented flopping. Yeah, Vlade, and not Vlade Radmanovic, Vlade Divac, and
the Space Cadet.
Yes, and I'm sure that Divac learned it from someone else. It's been around.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of other things going on out there.
The Minnesota Timberwolves lead the West at 12-4. Bucket or brick, time to take the T-Wolves seriously.
AK, I'm going to go first in this one. Actually, I don't know if I can make that far, so I'm going to bucket it here. This team, first of all, I have a little mea culpa. Mea culpa, be nice if I could say it. I kind of laughed at this team a year ago. Like, you gave up all these first-round draft picks and gave away some pretty good youth to get Gobert from Utah. And it wasn't working. It was terrible. These guys completely have turned it around. I think they figured it out. I mean, Gobert looks good. He looks kind of like he was back in Utah. Towns, he's not hurt yet. That's always a good sign. Anthony Edwards, maybe not quite the step that we thought he would take, but a big enough step that he's
pretty good.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. No doubt. I like this team. I think that the team that I lampooned last year, as did a lot of other people, I feel like they're here to stay.
I'm going bucket as well.
Wow.
They look really, really good. Anthony Edwards has turned into a really good two-way player, and he's got superstar charisma. McDaniels on the wing with him, really good defender. I understood the Rudy Gobert trade last year, even though I knew it was risky. Just the idea of...
Are you sure?
Yes, in the sense that the Timberwolves don't get free agents. So if you're going to bring in somebody who is considered all-star, all-NBA caliber, which Gobert is defensively, you have to pay a lot to make it happen. And, there's probably still some things they need to figure out with Cat and Gobert together. Naz Reid's a really sneaky good piece that they have there. I
love him.
They look really good right now. And as long as Edwards plays at this level, they're going to be a team to contend with.
Okay. How about the Orlando Magic? Because they're kind of the Timberwolves of the East. They've won 7 in a row and are second in the Eastern Conference at 12-5. Bucket or brick, the Magic are officially in the mix in the East.
Bucket.
Shout out Jamal Mosley.
I actually, heading into the season, was pretty bullish on the Magic. If you looked at them last season after getting off to one of the only starts in the league worse than the Lakers last year, they did the second half of the season. They were basically a 500 team. I think they're a really unusual team, too, in the sense that a lot of their centers and forwards and even like big, small forwards, they're all ball handlers. They feel like they're a really difficult team to guard. They create mismatches really easily. Jalen Suggs is a really, really good perimeter defender. They're young. They're not scared of anybody. Like, I think they're a legit good team.
I'm going to brick it.
That was an air ball.
That was a bad throw. Keep in mind, these are all left-handed.
They're supposed to be bricks.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be pretty. I'm not quite there yet on these guys. I feel they're not quite like the OKC of the West. Like OKC, this thing's happening way too early. It's like, whoa, hold on a sec. OKC leads the West over a month into the NBA season. This is years ahead of schedule. I'm not quite ready to anoint Orlando as that team. I like the pieces. I still feel like there's a lot of draft picks there that they went high on that haven't panned out. Jonathan Isaac, great defender, can't stay healthy. Suggs, good defender, doesn't give you much at all on offense. But they've got the Wagner brothers there doing good stuff.
Fultz was a nice reclamation project for him.
No doubt. Paolo Banchero, good player.
Cole Anthony's a really good backup.
Maybe the best backup point guard in the league. He used to be Tyus Jones, but now he's starting. So I would anoint Cole as the best backup. So
he's
good
really
pieces. But I still think they're going to drift down to like probably 6 in the East by the time the playoffs roll around.
Which is not a bad place for them to be.
They're still ahead of schedule, but not OKC ahead of schedule.
Yep. Cam Reddish is probable to return to the Lakers lineup on Wednesday at Detroit. Bucket or brick, Max Christie deserves to stay in the rotation.
Go ahead.
I didn't know you. I'm going to go bucket. I was bullish on Christie heading into this season. I like what he brings defensively. I like what he brings as a rebounder. Like he's always looking to get on the glass, and that's something this team is missing. He has shown that he can hit an outside shot, which this team is also missing. I would like to find – I mean, Reddish definitely is going to go back into the rotation. They have missed him. I would like to find ways to keep giving Max Christie minutes. I think there are other places where you could either pull guys out of the rotation or shave a few minutes here and there off other guys. I would like to see Christie keep getting those reps.
I'm going to brick it.
Oh, Brez.
Yeah, I am. I feel like right now the Lakers, they need some veteranism. And Reddish was doing great. Like Allie, I feel like he finally found a home. He's been bounced around the league since he was drafted 10th overall in 2019. I like his defense. And the Lakers had a pretty good run with him when he was the starter. So I really feel like, they need that guy who can stick some threes, a little more dependable defensively. I think Max Christie's good, maybe a little bit more seasoning. If his shot doesn't develop or doesn't continue to show improvement, maybe in a month or so you put Max in there. But I think Cam's the guy.
Okay. And we're going to end on this one. It's an Allie special.
All right.
Bucket or brick, LA traffic is worse than dry turkey.
That's a bucket. It's absolutely a bucket. Because here's the thing.
Allie special.
If you live in L.A., even if you like turkey, there's only so much turkey in your life. There's only so often you're going to be dealing with turkey. You deal with L.A. traffic every single day of your life, multiple times a day. Nobody eats that much turkey.
LA
Dry
traffic,
or perfect.
LA traffic almost ruined my Thanksgiving.
What?
I was cruising to the valley. I was great. I got off the exit, and I had like 1.8 miles to go, and it took me 35 minutes.
Wow.
In the valley?
Oh, I wanted to scream. Absolutely.
Was there like
on Thanksgiving Day.
Was there like a parade going on?
No.
What happened?
Just people apparently going to Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And I was not happy about it.
That's crushing.
Everyone loves
I was like, I finally
Thanksgiving
found
in the
something.
valley. Got to get there early.
Hey, when I think of like Woodland Hills, that's where I want to be for Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
I'm going to bucket this as well. And Allie, you and I are lucky because our commutes, we live in South Bay, which is close to our El Segundo studios. I don't know. I think my commute's 12 minutes per day. I mean, it's pretty light.
I may not be able to afford my rent and maybe eating water and drinking water and eating bread every single day, but I will not have traffic to get to work.
No. I mean, AK, you came down here from, are you Culver City?
No, Mid-City. I wish I was Culver City. It'd be closer.
So what did it take you today to get here? 45 minutes?
It took about 35 to 40.
Oh, that's pretty
Nope.
good.
Mm-mm.
But you people make it worth it.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. I have one more for you. Bucket or brick. There is such thing as getting to the airport too early.
Bucket. You get there right at the last possible minute. You skate through TSA, and you just go on your flight.
Yeah.
What?
He's like,
Neither of you have
absolutely
children.
not.
Neither of you have children.
Facts.
It all changes once you have kids. You need to get there early. You need to get everyone settled in. Like the minute you add kids to the equation, you do not want to be rushing through an airport trying to figure out a gate while also making sure you're keeping track of a child or, in the case of other people, children.
And there are always those children.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you two live in, your crazy single lives. If you want to get to your flight 15 minutes before it takes off, great, whatever.
Yep.
You do you. But the minute you have minors that you're responsible for, you got to get to that airport early.
I had tweeted that out a month ago. Voice of God reminded me. I tweeted that out about a month ago because I was at the airport for way too early.
It's a waste.
Yeah, way too early. I was so mad at myself. I couldn't believe that. What I was like, should I just go home? I was there. This is real. Like over 2 hours before.
What?
Yeah, just stupid. Just absolutely stupid.
Did you think you were going to the valley and you got confused?
I don't really know. I just mistimed it. But I flew back from the Cleveland trip yesterday. And I went down. I stayed at the Westin because of some issues at the airport in Detroit, which, by the way, is the most convenient thing ever.
Love that hotel.
It is in the hotel, and you can go through security in the hotel, and the gates are right there.
You're just discovering this?
Just discovered.
I stayed there for 12 years in a row.
Oh
Loved
my
it out
God,
there.
it is wonderful.
The Westin Airport Hotel in Detroit.
So I found out about it.
Best part of that city.
I was boarding at 8:11, and I come downstairs at 7:30. And as I'm doing that, a mom, a dad, and two kiddos, they've got 2 bags. They still have to go to the other side, though, to check the bags. And the kid is screaming at 7:30 in the morning at the top of his lungs. The dad had just finally had it. And the mom was just like, what? and he still needed to take his bags to check. I was just like, oh, this
We'll
is
make
why
sure
you
everyone
get there
knows
early.
that was not my child.
It was not. I felt
Don't
for
even have a
them.
boy.
Yeah, because you were there
I felt
5
for them.
hours ahead of time.
Yeah, but that was the moment where I was like, okay, maybe you do need to be on time. Me, I waited in line. I got across and through security at 8:08, and my flight boarded at 8:11.
Nice.
Perfect.
Nice.
Wow.
Single.
Single.
Or no children. No,
No
children.
children.
Yeah.
Yeah. Allie is
No
married for the
children.
record.
Yes.
Yes, I am. No children. All right, well done. We got a show to do. That's enough of this podcast. Thanks to you for listening to the Lake Show podcast.
Okay, let's go to the
Presented by
Valley.
Jack in the Box. If you like what you hear, leave us a rating and review on your favorite
November.
podcast
Some
app. We want to hear from you. Send us your questions. Hit us up on X at Relay Clifton, at Mike_Bresnahan, and at Cam Brothers, AK.
My
Until
upbringing
next
was in Encino, AK.
Hot Thanksgiving coffee.